This time, we will be looking at a clip of Usain Bolt as he runs, who is considered the greatest sprinter of all time. I already made a running analysis of him a while ago, but this time I will briefly touch upon a few aspects of running mechanics in sprinters and the differences compared to other distances. Now, first, we will take a look at the step rate. During this current moment of the race, he's running at around 270 steps per minute. As I mentioned before with sprinting, step rates are much higher compared to other distances as the focus to run faster becomes focused on how quickly you take steps rather than how long each step is. However, for this specific step rate, this is actually not significantly different compared to other elite sprinters, and it's even slower than others. Where Usain Bolt shines more is from his step length. Based on some research looking at Bolt's biomechanics during the 2017 World Championships, his average step length was around 2.7 meters, which is much higher than other sprinters. This kind of step length is a product of his long limbs and the power he's able to produce with each step. Since speed is equal to step rate times step length, the combination of these factors leads to these times. Now, the next thing we'll look at is the foot strike. Here he presents with a 4-foot landing. This makes sense for sprinters as this kind of pattern requires the least time to roll over the foot, which leads to a quicker turnover and ultimately leading to faster times. The next thing we will look at is the foot landing relative to the body. It is hard to actually find this exact moment due to limitations of the raw footage and how quickly the feet are actually moving, but this frame is probably the closest we will get to it. With sprinting, the focus is to keep the foot as close to the center of mass as possible. Notice that I said close, because based on some research, it is not possible to land truly under the center of mass unless you are accelerating. Here, Bolt does a good job of that as he seems to land very close to the body. Similar to what I mentioned about forefoot strike, this allows for a quick stance phase which leads to being able to take quicker steps. The next thing we will look at is the knee flexion at this moment. This allows for decreased inertia to help the foot come forward faster. However, many people tend to focus on doing this through cueing to lift the heels. I tend not to do this because research has shown that this may actually decrease efficiency. This increased knee flexion tends to happen naturally as you run faster. Now let's take a look at the trunk during this phase of the run. Here his trunk is now upright. This is important as this kind of position helps stabilize around the core and trunk. This helps decrease energy leakage that may occur as you run and optimize force output from the legs. Now let's take a look at the arm swing. Taking a look at shoulder movement, he has a lot of it. Having large amounts of movement is typically seen in 100-meter races as shoulder movement increases at higher intensity runs. Finally, we will take a look at the head, and here he pretty much maintains a neutral head position until he looks at his record-breaking times. Overall, Usain Bolt is an incredible athlete and we definitely have a lot to learn from him. I hope you guys found this useful into understanding more about running mechanics.